Well, here we are back again. Happy Friday, Markcast here. Lots of stuff to talk about. Didn't know if we would have anything to talk about. John and I have kind of been going back all week here. We have John Lewis here, John Lewis Sports, sporting, I guess, a Markcast shirt that he bought that I wasn't even notified from the shop. So
Listen,
maybe I've been selling hundreds of them. I had no idea.
Very well could be. We were talking fashion today. I figured I got to come fashionable on this.
Yeah, so lots of news today. John and I'm podcasting under duress. Dental surgery earlier this week, gum reconstructive, worse than anything I've kind of gone through medical wise. At least in this, genetics have not been kind to me. So we're here. We kind of expected. Okay, Wednesday. Okay, Thursday.
Right.
We've been doing the media days and all that stuff, but we have uniforms to talk about. We have new merchandise to talk about. We have the broadcasters. We can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff to talk about. I'll roll through some comments here. John, you were on 2 weeks ago. We had Greg Parks last week. How are you feeling now? We're 3 weeks out from kickoff. We will be in Arlington. I will be. You can be on the show if you want to be, but we will be live here going March 30th. So we're almost there. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling optimistic. I'm really looking forward to the kickoff. It feels like, at least, kind of in our community here, that people are getting excited. To me, there are a few red flags on some of these rollouts. That's really kind of my only thing about this, because you mentioned media days. So far, the Birmingham Stallions are the only media that has contacted me. I'm on the UFL mailing list. Now, I mean, I'm nobody. I get it. But it's like they have contacted me. They're allow me to be part of the news conferences. They allow me to download the news conferences. It's the only team that I have gotten anything from, which is kind of disappointing, because we can give the UFL. It's what we do. We're fans, but we also want to tell stories and pass things along to people who aren't privy to these things. So it's just kind of, I think it's a missed opportunity there. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of the other things that we've seen PR wise, but the game's the thing. So I'm going to stay optimistic here.
Yeah, now I'll give you just a preface here, and I see Zach, we have a comment here talking. I'll pull that up here, talking about the format of the show. This might air a little bit negative today, just with everything going on. Is I always put my hand up and then I screw up my my hand tracking on my my camera there. This could be a little negative today. Now, next week, I've already recorded one interview, a training camp interview I tweeted about yesterday. Surprise, big name. Everyone will be excited for that. I know people want more interviews. Zach has a comment here. Please bring back the format of the show. There probably wouldn't have been a show the last 2 months, 3 months, if we weren't be doing the little live things and having John and Greg and Andy and Evan and Pat and everybody else. So we're getting some interviews. I cannot control the flow of, okay, Reed, we're in training camp. Okay, now we need time. Okay, we're working on it. I have a big name guest I'm working on. Like I said, I already have one recorded, and then a couple other kind of spokes in the fire. So I think Pat's going to join me next week. I think we're going to do an all Markcast UFL team listings. Like I said, I already have one interview, so like and subscribe. But you do not want to miss my big name interview. So they got back to me again this week. We're working on that, so it should be exciting. So just stay tuned. But if you're a little like, hey, I don't want to get to, we might get a little bit nitpicky today with some of the rollout stuff this week. Does not mean I'm not excited. Does not mean so. Like and subscribe if you want to be part of that, because I promise you, at least the interview I already recorded here last night, you will not want to miss that. So exciting stuff. Yeah, we got the uniforms, and I'll pull up the press photos here. We finally got the release today, because I know Mike Mitchell had reported with Sports Illustrated like it was coming. It did not make sense to me. I guess a couple different ways. So doing a uniform release feels redundant if because a lot of the uniforms are recycled, right? Like there's no new uniforms. But my argument would be we are still trying to attract new fans here. Right. So the uniform release and us doing a video about that is not for the people that are watching this or already subscribed. It's God forbid we get anybody else like, oh, man, there's new uniforms coming out. Like I didn't watch before. These are new. So to me, it was backwards. We did the media day. We kind of leaked everything, and then today we put out the press release. I just feels backwards in terms of any way that you would generate any kind of excitement about that. I'll pull up the uniforms, but how did you like kind of that? We finally come out today like, oh yeah, by the way, here we have this agreement.
Yeah, and it came out like this afternoon. It was, here, at least here on the in the East. This was kind of backwards. I think that there is an opportunity that we talk about all the time. You've got to catch the casual fans. So why not make it a thing? Yeah, some of us will be like, "Oh, these are the same uniforms that they wore, and these are the Under Armour uniforms that the XFL wore." Now, all they did was just kind of move that template to the USFL uniform, which there are some a little tweaks, and I mean, very minor, but still, you can make it a thing. I mean, that and here's another thing. I've signed up. I'm on the UFL mailing list. Um, not just the PR thing, but also the fan list where they're supposed to send you emails like, "Hey, this is happening. This is happening. Check out this news." I rarely get anything from there. In fact, the way that I found out that they had new Under Armour gear on the website today was I was on the website to look to see if they had shipped my UFL shirt that I ordered on February 16th, and then I see, "Oh, they've got some new stuff on here." I'd never even gotten anything.
Yeah.
By the way, they still haven't shipped my shirt, but that's my problem. So again, yeah, they're just we continue to say this, there are a lot of missed opportunities, Reed.
Because again, I want to talk through these uniforms. Like, this isn't for us. This isn't for you're trying to do, and that's again we've had the conversations in Greg Parks last week. Is I don't know, and I certainly I appreciate The Rock being on Daytona, and we're making a lot
Yeah,
of that. I want to get talk today as well about kind of like where does Danny and Dwayne kind of fit into this, because like Danny Garcia has seemed to like drop off the face of the earth here. I mean, I know The Rock's feuding with Cody Rhodes, and like that's been tremendous. He's still taking the time to do Daytona, but it
yeah,
seems to me like, okay, I don't know what we're reaching outside of, unless I'm following the XFL on Instagram, which these social teams have done a tremendous
yes,
job. Anybody
100%.
involved in, and I follow all you guys on, personally, and Jay and Leah and everybody, anybody that's involved in that, tremendous. But I keep hearing this like, okay, well, we just need to get through this. We just need to get through this. And it's been where it's March of 24 now. I've heard that for the last 4 years. So we got these now. I will say, I am a professional wedding videographer. I'm not a professional photographer. These are, I would have photoshopped these a little bit. I don't want to
Right.
be too critical. John and I went back. I was arguing with producer Max about that. These are not social media leaks. These are the press release photos that were sent to me via the league. So I don't want to be, but
Yeah.
we have markings on some, we have the laptop showing on some, but here we have the
Right.
here we have, Battlehawks back again. So no real tweaks for any of this stuff. Like I said, we have kind of the UFL logo on that.
Mhm.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'll pull up the Battlehawks social as well, because I know they have some on there. But thoughts on this and getting the UFL logo on there?
Yeah, I mean, right. It's a great picture, because you can see the whole uniform. But you look, if you go on the UFL website, anyone who's out there who hasn't even seen these are on the official UFL website. So you see the markings on the floor. I mean, these look like, Reed, I said to you, because I'm old, I remember these things. That looks like back in the 80s and 90s when they actually took pictures on film and they would shoot the frame wider so you could crop things out and you would you would have markings on the floor and all that. So I just don't know why, like, you would look at that. Why not? I mean, anyone could Photoshop that out. It feels Bush League. Love the
It's
uniforms though. I mean, I'm glad that they did. I'm glad they kept the Battlehawks uniforms because those are some of my favorites
Well,
and didn't tweak them.
I'm surprised because like the one thing I thought was Fox 2 years ago with the initial USFL logos, I thought those were the best videos we had seen of
Yes.
any of them, and it was like the bright yellow background and the red with the Stallions. Let me see if I can pull that. But I just thought that was such a tremendous job. The XFL ones last year, I know they were live right on what were they live on? Whatever they did the show, and then they had the videos without all that. But I don't know, just really surprised that this is what we got this time. And I know too that like Scooby Wright was tweeting that they were taking photos in the wrong jersey numbers, that he was wearing someone else's jersey. So like
Right.
interesting that way as well. But I wanted to see if I get the USFL one up here. But yeah, thoughts on the actual uniform here.
Yeah, I like it, and just from as much as we could take a look at some of these, I still haven't seen a lot of the road uniforms, so I don't know how much tweaking there's going to be done on those. But like we've seen some of the home uniforms, and I will say I do like that again that the Battlehawks they kept that whole theme, the all blue. I wish they bring back the blue helmets, but I was hyped to see like the behind the scenes media day stuff with their shooting. Obviously, you could see it said ESPN in the back. So those are what they call a lot of people will see interstitials or bumper shots that they'll show during the game. You cropped that correctly there, by the way. So yeah, and these things are
This looks
this
good.
is
This
cool.
looks good.
I
And they were
love it.
doing like the bubbles. We had a lot of
Yes.
bubble stuff going on. Like I thought this was all
This
great and this
yes.
was fun.
This was great behind the scenes stuff that's going to look even better when you actually see like what they're shooting there. But yeah, that really shows off the uniform there. And it looks, pretty much the same as last year, if not exactly the same.
But see, yeah, here was kind of some of the press photos back
Yep.
with the USFL before, and I mean, it just to me, uh, you're sending these out and you're posting, and podcasters are using them, and the YouTube people, and even I'm talking bigger people than us. I mean, there's
Sure.
huge channels that do uniform breakdowns and stadium breakdowns and football stuff. Like, I was just kind of surprised that was what we rolled through with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought the roll again. It just feels like it's another missed opportunity rollout for a lot of things. You're right. I mean, these are the promotional. Now think about this. These are the promotional photos that a lot of people will use because these are press photos. And can you imagine if they if they use this and there's marking on the floor? I mean, it just feels like this is, you said it. We're going to be nitpicky, but branding is very important for this league, not for us. It's for the people out there who want to get involved and are casual fans. And when they see stuff like this, they'll be like, "What is this?"
Yeah, and I'm looking on. So yeah, I like having the good home and away. I'm not seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of the home jerseys here. I know a couple of the teams had, so we'll kind of go through it. But they were showing the away jerseys as well because isn't the Battlehawks? It's more that gray one, right? It's like a nice gray with the blue.
That's what they used, yeah, last year. So I was looking around to see if they were going to use it again this year. I didn't really see a lot of these. I'm looking at videos like this and trying to look in the background because you'd see some people in the background that had the away uniform, so you could kind of tell what was going on there.
Yeah, so I think it's similar that way, replacing
Yeah.
the XFL with the UFL. Obviously, with the USFL one's getting rebranded here with the Under Armour and all of that. So, I like it. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think
Right.
we were expecting like a big blowout here in terms of like radical redesigns, but I just think again, it's all about how you present it, right? Like the Rock, like the Rock right now with Cody Rhodes and all this is like the most basic wrestling promo thing ever, right? Like he's with Roman Reigns, and okay, he's gonna turn on him at some point. Like everybody can see, but you just sell it. You go through it, and this is what we're
Right.
doing here. Like it doesn't matter if we've seen all these the last 2 years. No one's going to care about that. Put this out. Put together a press release. Have the video crew come in like you did before. The XFL ones back were awesome back in 2023.
Yeah, I thought, and they did it right there. They did it on Sports Center. It was really cool. Again, ESPN is they're a partner, so I don't know why they just didn't pick it up a little more, or have these ready to be sold. Of course, that's another topic. The UFL shop, we've had some problems, but right now, as far as I know, I haven't seen any replica jerseys or authentic jerseys for sale. So you thought that another missed opportunity to me.
So Zach hates our live shows, but he does say that you should be a permanent co-host. This man is absolutely awesome. So there you go.
Well,
So we're winning them over with content, if not with with the format here. So some of these, so then like the San Antonio one, which I love, and that's my team. Again, so now this is just a crop photo for this one. So again,
right.
Like if you're doing, and we said this before, like home and away, full body, front and back. That's all we need. This is great. And I love the detail in this. This gives us a really good view of the UFL logo on there. I think that looks crisp, right? Obviously opposite the Under Armour on the other side. You can see the San Antonio, the cool, the weave on that. And if you guys want, I can't remember when the XFL uniforms came out, it was Max set me up with the guy that like helps design uniforms. And he came on and kind of broke down the whole like complementing of color. Like this, right. We're like the casual people here. Like, oh, this is great. But he kind of did a whole like color science of all that stuff. So if you search Marcast XFL uniforms, that was a pretty good on there. But good to see this come back. I like this. Yep. The off black kind of dark gray for the Brahmas is a good look.
You are not going to like the video that I'm going to have about grading the uniforms. So I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Well, that's a good tease. So what do you have coming out?
Well, I'm going to do just kind of a, pass, fail, A, B, C, D, F kind of thing. I mean, it's all personal opinion. Who cares? But the the San Antonio ones were probably my least favorite. I
Yeah,
do like the yellow aways though.
yeah, if I see again, like I want to buy this right now. Like this is
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like that I would wear that 100%. I think that's cool. I think the Brahmas is my I like Brahmas and Roughnecks. We'll get to that, but I like something a little different. I like my spring football uniforms to stand out. I mean, I'm the one that has it. I'm going to actually go grab some here. You talk about it.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, and I like that, there's been some thought that went into these, obviously, with Under Armour. They don't just throw stuff out there. Under Armour is some of my favorite just personal like warm-ups or whatever are Under Armour. I have an Under Armour shirt that's like a cool gear shirt from 20 or 2009. I still have it because it's so comfortable. It doesn't shrink. It's really good. And these are well designed. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a Brahma's uniform fan, but I love the detail and I do like the away yellows. I mean, I did upgrade on that one as
Yeah,
far as I graded on a curve with them.
great. Well, I just wanted to say here, because I like I'm here. I just had to, anytime I can show off my
The
official
jousters.
spring league jousters. This is official. This is game worn. Dorothy has one as well. If you want to be jealous, you could be. Hey, if you want to be married to the Markcast here, you have that. But Jared has a question here, and this is a very valid. Will we ever be able to find official away jerseys? Because that was a
question.
problem before. XFL 2020 went away. We were never able to do that. We've never been able to do that with the USFL, and to me, I'm not always the biggest away jersey guy because most of the time they're just white. The XFL with this yellow Brahmas, with the with the gray Ballahawk, like there's enough spice in those where I would want to buy one. I had to do a Dragons 2021 through Dustin with Royal Retros. That was the only way I was able to do that because he, I can't remember what it was. He was like, "Hey, I'll make you a custom jersey, anything you want." I was like, why don't you just do this? Because it's never, it's never existed in a way to buy. So yeah, I that would be a good way as well. But we couldn't even get. I mean, uniforms were rough back in 2023 here with the XFL. I thought my USFL one was the better quality for the replica with the stars, which I do have.
Yeah, and I did not get any authentic or replica jerseys, but I've seen some. There's a website, and I don't remember it. And even if I did, I wouldn't pass it along. But they sell replica jerseys that are obviously not licensed, and you can really tell. I've seen a few pictures, and they look like they came straight from the flea market. And so, but those are out there because there's demand, and there are people that are buying them because I have seen them, and it's not even people that I really know. It's just in the some of the Facebook communities. So yeah, again, it's just that would be, and that is a very valid question. It's like, not only would you like to buy a home jersey, but could you find an away jersey? I mean, the NFL, you can get, the first, second, and third, the Thursday night action jerseys.
I own every Commanders jersey that they own, and the team has existed for 2 years. Like, so, and we have 3, I don't think they've ever won in the black one, but I have the Commanders black one. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, I love the Brahmas on this. I like that it fits in with the San Antonio theme, the yellow. I don't know. To me, the yellow, it might just be the lighting here. It doesn't necessarily, this is a nice, like banana yellow. I really like this color yellow where it's not as, it's a little muted. Like, I don't know why I have this towel here, but a little more, I don't know. To me, it stands out. It pops. And as an away jersey, I think this is one of the best ones.
Agreed.
Pat says here, it looks like the Gotham team from the Dark Knight Rises.
That's right. Well, the Gotham Rogues.
I will say, and this is no disrespect to our USFL brethren, some of these ones, I think, and part of this is we're honoring the history of the USFL, right? This is the Panthers. We're honoring the history of the USFL things. I like some of the updated design language with the XFL when we're marrying them. What do you see now, having gone from 2 XFL ones now to this? And maybe you like the history of all this. Is that as jarring, or am I alone in that?
No, I agree. And also, if you notice too, the XFL jerseys, or most of them, well, I think all of the XFL ones have the city name on them. This one, I mean, it doesn't, and I assume this is because that's Danny Edley, right?
Well, now you run into this too, and I can go back and look. I'm just pulling up the Panthers on Twitter here. You do get the thing too, where not everything is like, so here, where can I get back on this? Why can't I? Not all the XFL ones are the same on that. So like, if you go back, see, this says San Antonio, but if you go to the Ballahawks one, it says Say like they're not all consistent. If I remember
No.
back, and I need to pull up to who the same that way, but yeah, it is. Yes, it is very different here, where you have the names, at least the team or the city name on that versus USFL one.
Yeah. So I just thought, I mean, if you're gonna, I guess that maybe it's a way to kind of differentiate the USFL from the XFL, but just to me, I mean, I like the Panthers colors, but it seems very plain to me. Like there's not even any there's no shadow around the number, which would be really tough for television. and it has been in the past, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
So let's pull up here. We get a little bit more detail here. So these are obviously the home and away again, and this isn't consistent. So we've got, the St. Louis didn't have, but it's always hard to me. I'm not nostalgic for the old USFL stuff. So I get, when you want to carry over the design language, I get that, and we have to honor the past. But it is. I mean, at least going off the San Antonio one, that to me just speaks of like we really took some extra time here to curate something specialized.
I do. I mean, to me, I don't know if I'm the target audience, but yeah, to me, I like that they wanted to hold on to some of that nostalgia of the USFL, and because they really had some great designs, but these are so traditional, and then you do it, and it doesn't even look like the XFL conference when that's confusing to me. I don't, I mean, but because you look at it, okay, yeah, we want to embrace the tradition, but there's also a USFL patch. There is a Under Armour patch. There's another Under Armour patch on the pants. I do like they all have the logo, the mascot logo on the pants, so that looks good. But to me, why not? Why not make them? You don't have to make them all the same, but at least put the cities on there. I didn't, or the team name, that would be Michigan. But why not do that?
What's interesting too is if you go here, I thought this was interesting. Matt here with the comment: "Is it too difficult to ask to get the shade of plum on the pants stripe correct? Our colors aren't darkish red, so a little bit of issue there with it not being the correct color. It looks a little more plum again. I'm not a Panthers purist here, but I would understand but sure. Hey, we've seen that with Fanatics right now in the MLB, where the Mariners." Well, but especially like the Mariners have very specific color palettes, and the hat that they have custom for spring training does not match the jersey at all. It's not even the same colors. And so you're like, well, here it's it's the seafoam green. I get that. People are very conscientious about that. And to me, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Royal Retros had a great post on that. It was like, when someone was comparing, they were showing it was the Mariners logo from, I guess, last year before, and then they showed the new one, and it looked like it'd been out in the sun and washed out, and Royal Retros was like, yeah, we wouldn't do that.
Now here's that fits a little bit more, I think, in terms of the XFL design language, even if it doesn't have the cities on it. Right, here's the Maulers here. Looks not quite as purple.
Well, the Showboats,
the Showboats. Sorry, excuse me. Looks a little bit. At least with the doubles, the two shade there. I don't know. To me, this fits a little bit more into that versus the Panthers.
Agreed. I like these, and I like that on the yokes there they have the cutout for the Under Armour and for the UFL patch. I think that is really sharp. Were the Showboats like one of the most polarizing teams when it came to the logo and the colors? There were so many people when they came out, it was like, oh, I hate these, and other people like, oh, I love these. I love the color scheme. It's one of my favorite color schemes in the entire league. But I do like that they put a little attention to detail with the UFL patch and the Under Armour patch having cutouts on the yokes.
Yeah, and it fits there, even if it looks like, this is OCD read, but that is not.
Oh my God.
That is not.
It's like they taped it on.
But I mean, that's
yeah.
People, my wife has said I'm compulsive, but am I mistaken in that? Is that a little?
No, you are not, because it looks crooked, and it looks like it's like someone ironed it on crooked. It's not even like, it doesn't even look like it's stitched on. I didn't even notice that.
Hey, now I will just say though, and not to nitpick it here, but because I'm trying to get away whatever on the Showboats page, they don't have anything from they have the 2 hours ago. We're talking international women's, talking about the best fans, but we don't have a lot of there's no uniformity things on here, and then we go back to March. So like, I wish we get a little bit of media day.
Right.
But I would have liked, okay, we're getting a little bit, but that's okay. I guess that's your best look at the away.
Yeah. Yeah. I did see some of these, and I think there was another video. It might've been on Instagram that showed the away jerseys. And I'm not a huge fan of the all white. And in fact, I point out in the video, it looks like a reverse LA Extreme jersey from 2001.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the practice jersey.
Right.
Philip giving us 99 cents. Appreciate that. If you know,
All right.
John's a member, join the club, 99 cents a month. Markcast subscribers. I'm podcasting. I can't feel half my face right now. You know what? I'll appreciate it. Help me pay for that. Help me pay for that dental bill. I'm like, ooh, boy, pay that out of pocket. Yeah. So anyway, back to that. I don't know. To me, I like the yellow on this. This is fine. I don't know if I love this purple. I would like a little bit more like a show, like a Jouster's purple here. But
yeah,
maybe that's the historical.
I think they left that behind with the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Yeah, I get that. Okay,
which was absolutely one of the worst color schemes. I'm glad they actually changed it.
It was hard, and then we're trying to placate Steelers, and then we're trying to do that stuff.
And it didn't work, obviously.
That was different. Okay, but see now here, if we're talking design language, so this one go into what I think is one of the best jerseys in all of in all of spring football here, with the Houston Roughnecks on here in the USFL conference, XFL team. I want to look at I want to get a zoom in on the patch here, but do you get what I'm saying? At least this speaks to similar design language, even though now you have nice gradients. Some people like gradients, some people don't with the numbering and all of that. But, it at least feels like this might be in the same family. But what do you like of the Roughnecks?
I like it. I like I said, I think those are called yokes. I'm not a uniform expert, but I like that. And plus, with the white, and then you have the navy and the gradient numbers, which I do love. With that helmet, which some people love, some people hate, I like it because it looks different. It's like nothing that's in any other league that I've seen. I'm a big fan. This is absolutely Houston's one of my favorite uniforms. And I'm not a big fan of like the white pants, but it just works with that whole color scheme.
And I will say again, just if we're ever having spring football uniform releases again, just at any, I've talked about this last time and the time before, having all the helmets with all of them as well. This is good, right? Because they know like this is a standout. But let's get a side angle of this, right? This is one of the standout helmets on here because even on the side, right, it's kind of like the 3/4 or whatever. What's your thoughts on the? What's your thoughts on the patch on here? Getting a little? Does that feel more on there? Or less,
it still looks like someone just slapped it on there, like it's got double-sided tape on the back. It doesn't.
Do you think if we pull that off, is there an XFL logo on that? Do you think?
I think 100%, because if you look at last year's jerseys, I guarantee you just take that off, there's going to be an XFL logo under there.
Let me get this up here. Yeah, it's going to be, and it's definitely, where do we have a good, no, I'm getting the XFL 2023. Well, here, this will at least give us, here, this is terrible podcasting now. Yeah, there you go.
See, and they had the yolks, or they had that cut out there. I mean, it's got to be, right?
Yeah, this is, I can't get it here. Let me try to get it in more.
and the patch is navy, see? Because they couldn't, I mean, you could just put that over the logo. You couldn't just stitch UFL over top of the XFL.
Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's I get what you're saying here. You can see, I think it's definitely an iron-on patch there.
I think that is looks like something came from eBay.
But again, this, hey, I'll say, like, because we got this is how good we are. We got a knockoff Kraken. We got knockoff Seattle Kraken practice jerseys from China, but they don't come with the Starbucks logo on it. So then we went and bought Starbucks iron-on patches so we could iron them onto our practice jerseys to make them look more authentic. So
that's commitment.
But anyway, again, this at least to me feels, I got to get back. There we go. At least feels like it's in the same design language here. I was going to pull up the Roughnecks page here, get a little bit more detail on that. I think it looks really nice.
The color scheme is, to me, perfect for it. And and they had some really nice still photos from their media day on. These are the same ones they had on Instagram.
Okay. Man, we're rivaling our YouTube viewership with Twitter viewership right now. It's just looking at our Twitter page. It's got 130 here on YouTube, but like another 85 over on Twitter. So that's good.
Awesome.
Hey, we never get that many on Twitter, so I appreciate that. Anyway, this to me is great. I know Philip doesn't love all this. He's a Roughnecks fan, but you can't be too sad about that. Here, I got to get over here. This is another. This photo could have used a little workshopping here. I don't like seeing the laptop on here.
Somebody's laptop in the. I mean, what is going on? Somebody's laptop in the bottom. the marks on the floor, it just, and yeah, it looks amateurish. This is on the
Whereas
website.
yeah, what was I gonna show? Can I do this? I photoshopped here. I photoshopped LJ Mar Smith and all of that
Right.
for the thumbnail. Like,
Yeah.
is it? It's like Adobe does it for you now for free.
Right. I mean, you could at least just, you can use the generative AI on Adobe to remove laptop from bottom of
Yeah,
frame, remove marks from the floor.
yeah. We
And
got
it's
Pat
good.
Restreamo here bragging about streaming
Yeah.
numbers per usual. Patrick, the streamer man here, that's good. I don't know. Defenders to me never really fits in with the rest of the design landscape. It's a
Right.
lot of red, but obviously this is one that big fan base and carried over and all that stuff. But thoughts on this? Let me pull up their social.
I love the Defenders, the whole thing. It's simple, but it's like, if there's elegance in a uniform, to me, it's the DC Defenders. Now I think did they wear all white away, or did they
Yeah,
wear white jerseys and
I'm
red
getting it pulled
pants?
up here.
Okay.
Because again, this is one we have
They
a
did wear
good.
red pants.
Now here, this is from the Defenders. This says photo credit. Jim Cowser. Jim, are we the one? Are you the one that we need to yell at about the marks on the floor in these photos? Like, is Jim the official UFL, or is this? But these are actually decent photos. So maybe this isn't. Maybe this is Jim's work.
And it is interesting that they have Defenders on there, which I guess, they didn't want to
See,
put
I told you
Washington
it's not
DC.
consistent. It's
You're
not
right.
consistent.
You're right. Yeah, I guess they didn't go with Washington DC or just DC. That looked kind of weird, but yeah, it's not. I mean, but still, these some of my favorite uniforms. Traditional, yes. Simple, yeah, but just still, they look good.
So we had a comment here, Stock Speed Tech. Glad they got rid of that urban camo look last year, right? Because I thought that the Defenders had a little bit more patterning in the white. Is it just because we can't see it on here?
Well, it's really hard to tell from there. Now, as far as I understand, because I've not seen a lot of helmet pictures, I think
Is it
they are
just the
keeping it in
helmet?
the helmet.
Okay.
And also, there was some talk, and I guess we'll talk about the Birmingham in a minute, but it looked like someone had a picture of the helmet, and it looked like the helmet had a larger logo on it. But now I really couldn't tell. I didn't really go back and look at it. I didn't break it down and analyze it that much.
Yeah, I'll tell you, guys. God bless you, but like even when I think it was the XFL last year, they had like 8 photos per team of like all the really, really helpful. They're really helpful
Yeah.
when kind of looking at all this stuff, because this is what, like, if you're doing this, it is for the people to want to mark out and kind of super analyze all this stuff. So that would be what I would say.
It totally is. And it's like, you can, now, are people going to say, oh, I'm going to watch March 30th because I saw this cool picture of a uniform? No, but it's all about branding, and it's about getting the word out there. And, this is what we are. And when you see that picture, to me, it's like, if this is what you are, people are going to think you're a third tier football league. I just, again, it's branding. It's just, it's the perception that you send out. And it's too bad, because I think that's a great picture, except for the laptop and the marks on the floor.
Yeah, because I really didn't, when they came out today, I downloaded all of them and tweeted real quick, and I really went back to look at them, and I was like, wow, this is I didn't even, I was like, that's interesting. Anything, yeah, so I don't see a DC's. I'm looking through this in Twitter here. I don't see anything else from that. Anything else here on Defenders we want to move on?
No, I think that's you covered it. I just like I said, it's just too bad, because that's such a great picture, and it's just ruined by all that other stuff in there.
I'll Photoshop it here. I could probably Photoshop it live on the podcast here.
You probably could.
So now here, this is where we get into a little, and I know obviously the pants are different here, but Stallions, a little similar that way with that. This is a great photo of Jamar. What do you make of, now same thing, but just with the UFL logo on it?
Well, I would again, I would love to have seen them put Birmingham on there. But I guess they want to go with the traditional. If you look at the original Birmingham Stallions, now they did change up the logo some, not this year, but from the original, obviously. Michigan Panthers really pretty much kept theirs, and some others, but I like the new streamlined logo that Birmingham came out with in the new incarnation of the USFL. I like these uniforms. I mean, Birmingham was kind of my team. I love the numbers. Some people don't like those square numbers. I love the numbers. I think, and those just look clean to me. Those are clean uniforms.
I think they look nice. To me, this looks high quality, right? Obviously, Under Armour, similar material, all that. What's interesting to me is if you go back here, because they're showing, Yeah, these USFL. So we dropped the USFL. Obviously, we're not going to have the USFL logo on it, but drop the USFL logo on the center, and then So what do you make here of seeing the front? I mean, that's kind of the biggest change of any of these, right? Is
It is.
moving that over.
Right. And I like that they kind of kept the color code with the UFL, their logo. They made it maroon. They kept they've got the kind of the cutouts there. I think these are really nice looking uniforms, even without the the USFL plate on the front. I like that.
Yeah, and again, we get kind of a good look of all that. I don't know if we get side angles of that. I don't know if we get, because that's the practice run, right? I mean, I'm just trying to see if we have any different looks at the away one. But again, it's kind of hit or miss here, consistent
Right
on that.
And there was a great video today of, I think it was on Instagram, with Matt Corral, and they had a really, really good video of him that was obviously shot for some of the bumper shots that's going to be on the broadcast. I thought it looked really sharp.
Question here: where does the XFL conference come into the uniforms? I don't think they have. I mean, there's no delineation that way at all. That's actually a good thing to point out. That you just see the UFL
You're
on
right.
there. I think they could have done something. That's actually a great M Rider here. That's a great. You could have kept the XFL and the USFL and done something that way with the conferences, but maybe we want to have it in name, but not. I do think that would have been a way to help kind of do something different this year.
I mean, even like NFL uniforms, sometimes they'll have those on there, or like I still love the Kansas City Chiefs that have the old AFL logo still on their uniforms. But yeah, I mean, seems like that would keep the branding going too. That you have to keep that. Although the conferences are called XFL and USFL, it would have been really cool to have those. Although you got to wonder, would you want to put a USFL logo on a Houston Roughnecks jersey? Might have been kind of weird. That whole thing is still weird.
Do you think if they would have kept the Gamblers, you think they would have done that?
I think they would have.
I bet they would have.
I think absolutely, because they would have. Then you would have had a USFL team, which you still do. They are the Gamblers, but they're just called the Roughnecks, and they're an XFL team that's in the USFL conference. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they would have done that.
Yeah, I think that's hey, this is why Zach hates the live shows, but this is why I think sometimes having the live show is helpful, because you can get feedback like that. But again, now we're going to it's a totally different design language again, which I really like the Renegades one. I wish, and I've seen them obviously on the pants here. We see the R. I've seen more use of the Cowboy, the Bandit. We're going to get into the merch here on the site in a second if you haven't been excited enough with the uniform breakdowns here. But I like this. You got the red inside the numbers here with the black. To me, this is an iconic jersey, just because this is one the Rock had for the kickoff. I mean, that shot's been used a lot, and let's ball out, baby, and kind of all that stuff. But it was ill-fitting and didn't have did not look good on the Rock. But to me, this is one of the standout jerseys, for better or worse, from the XFL. But it certainly does not fit into the design language here for going from the Birmingham over.
I mean, it looks like two different leagues, not two different conferences. I love that. And it looks like from that patch, it looks like they've either matched the color or they've just made it. Oh, I think, that is. So they did. Yeah. It's just like it is either a blue or maybe silverish. Now, again, I think too, that picture doesn't do that blue justice, because it looks like it's a little bit lighter, unless they change something. But to me, I've always loved this. This is one of my favorite uniforms too. To me, that's the blue that I think of when I think of red. There, you can really see it there, and the red numbers and the black outline. I think that's just so sharp.
Yes, this is probably just the color thing, but that's a great thing to point out, because again, I am not a product photographer, but this is something that you do need to keep into account too, is that different colors translate differently, and kind of maintaining that across, so at least it looks the right way in the press photos. Yes, because this is definitely a darker blue. Thank you for pointing that out, and you can see the same UFL logo on there.
Yeah, you can really see it clearly there. But yeah, that's such a good color scheme, and the helmets. Even though I would have liked to seen maybe some outline on the R on the helmet, it's very nitpicky. But the black in the middle, and then with the way that lays out kind of with the jersey, I just think those are just sweet.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest helmet guy. I mean, usually when it's just like I liked it when it was what was it the Dragons back and they had the painted on part of it, and I think the
Right.
Panthers had part. If you're doing a little bit more that way, but sometimes just like the different stickers on there is always kind of interesting to me. But yeah, again, we would like to see helmets for all of these. Difficult to kind of look that way, but at least we're getting a little bit through that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a forensic scientist when I was trying to break down and like zoom in on some of these helmets to see if there was some kind of change. It was just really hard to tell when you did even see a helmet in some of these pictures. It was, yeah, and I wonder, like, okay, why would they not have the helmets out? Well, they did for that one, obviously, but like, why
But
wouldn't they
not,
show them
yeah.
off a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know why. Let me just see if I can refigure. I don't know why it's asking me to upload more on there. But yeah, anyway, yeah, they're not would like to see the helmets on all of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, there it is. Anything else that we'll get to shop here, new things, and then we'll get to broadcasting and all that stuff. Any other thoughts on the uniform?
Well, I have mixed emotions because there was part of me that was hoping there would be a uniform release and it would be like, look at what we did with this uniform and look what Under Armour did with this. So that was a little disappointing. But then there's another part of me that said, well, I'm glad they didn't radically change and we didn't end up with a Barcelona Dragons looking jersey. So and because those kinds of things make you just they don't look great and they try to be too different. So um, I would say mixed emotions, but I'm overall I'm happy with what we've gotten there.
Yeah, I just I know there's just not enough time. And so and I know that this is long ranging here and we're trying to get through the season and who knows what's gonna happen. But if you don't do it now, like I don't see this being a priority moving on kind of next year or whatever. Like, okay, well now we're gonna rebrand.
Right.
Like I think if you're gonna do it, I think you're gonna do it now. M Rider, just a couple comments here. There should be an XL shield. I think that would have been
Yep.
cool. I think that would have been a really cool. Obviously, you want to have the Under Armour patch on there, but I think I don't know. Do you put the UFL logo kind of lower on the hip there, where you kind of have the
Or
Fanatics or something?
put them on the bumper. I think that would have been really cool to put them like on the on the front. You could have an XFL up there, USFL up there. I think it looks like they put UFL on all of them.
Yeah, and then Philip here says, "I like that all the unis are different. They shouldn't be similar with just different colors." I know. I just like them to be at least kind of in the same design
Yeah.
spot. David, best Roughnecks helmets are epic. They have the best unis ever.
I love those
Pip,
helmets. Love them.
Pip here, love the Under Armour merch. So guys, it's better than previous release.
Yeah.
I think the quality is great. I just want that to
Mhm.
translate into something that I can buy now because I see uh they look really nice and it's just
They
not
do.
it's not what you can buy on that. So along with that, we had the announcement today. We now officially Under Armour is going to be part of all of this stuff. They are going to be multi-year deal here with we'll see how long that. But anyway, we have new release. We have some merch on here. You can pre-order. I don't think it's shipping till mid season here, at least after the kickoff. But thoughts on this? Because I just have a couple quick that
No.
we don't. This isn't going to be a deep dive, but
I mean, to me, these look like I love the Breaking Tees stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think the Breaking Tees stuff is solid, and did order a couple that actually came in. I really like them, but Under Armour just makes such well fitting, like really well made shirts that are I guess Nike is the dry tech or whatever, but I've got a few we were talking about it at the top of the show here. I've got a lot of Under Armour stuff like pullovers and long sleeve shirts and the cool gear and the heat gear and all that. I love the fit of them. I really like the look of them. Now I don't know if that's a $35 hat or not, but if it's got Under Armour logo on it, you're going to pay about three prices, and I get it.
Stock Speed Tech here. NFL uniforms are not all the same across the board. Very different. I agree with that. We also
Mhm.
have decades of history, and
Right.
yeah, the Seahawks is very different than the Browns name. Is very different than the I mean, you have a lot of different. Yes, I agree with that. But I think at least coming out and launching, yeah, I see both. I see wanting to maintain, but it's so different where it's 5-3 and it's not 4-4. I think if the gamblers had been carried over, I think I would have been a little bit different about that kind of stuff, having the 4-4 with the different logos. I will say, yeah. So some of my, I like how they. Let me see if I can get out how they tweet. Oh, hang on here. I wanted to get this pulled up, the XFL, because I thought this was funny. Coming out, hey, we have new merch, kind of all this stuff. Yeah, here we go. Here, so let me see if I can share. I accidentally closed out. So I thought this was funny. They tweeted out, "You asked, we delivered," because because remember we had the big tweet the other week about they're not having enough merchandise, and I like that
Right.
they use the salute signal. I like that we're getting that mainstream here, and so I responded somewhere in here. I said there you go. I said I appreciate
Right.
that.
There it
I
is.
asked you to deliver it. I will say so. Now we have we have hats that you can do. I probably won't. Not my style of hat, but we have hats on here.
I know you're going to buy a hat, Reed. Come on.
I don't know. That's a really hard. I'm a big fitted guy. I have lots of these fitted. I mean, like I have like this like Harris tweed Mariners hat here. This is an
Oh, wow.
expensive hat. I mean, I don't
Yes,
just
they are.
we don't just this hat isn't adorned by anything. But we have hats. I like that we have shirts that have the actual logos on them.
Yes.
I was critical about that before. The only shirt that you could have had the helmet on there and not not the actual logo. This is kind of what they had, a different version of that, but you had just the helmet on there. These are odd though. These sweatshirts are really weird.
Yeah, I can't even. What is the logo? I like that it's got the big R on the back. What's the logo? Is that the?
This is nice.
That's cool.
Nice. This is I think that's a really good logo.
That's a little guy.
I can't even get into it to do it. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's
okay.
Just a teeny little friend there.
What's very odd.
There's
no way that ships that way, right? It's going to be a different.
That's how they all are, and people thought that's that's the men's. We have the women's here. I mean, this is across the board.
Wow.
Let me get down here. Do the Stallions have one like that? Yeah. See, there's just little Birmingham.
Yikes. I do. I like the long sleeve shirts, but they have. It looks like you got it in like a marathon or something because it's got it looks like a bunch of sponsors down the side.
Oh yeah.
And I think it has a date on it too. Yeah. That's so.
Yeah, so you have DC, you have the helmet, the DC helmet, something 24, the UFL logo, the Under Armour logo, and then there's something else there. Yeah, I do agree with that. It's like I did the fun run. I did the UFL fun run.
Right.
I would love to this is clean. That's super clean.
Yep. 100%.
Like just like normal. I just want like normal. I would do it. I mean, yeah, and pricing. I mean, this is fine. $40 t-shirts. I mean, like I said, like that. You don't want to know what that Harris tweed hat costs, but some of these things, like really, really sharp. I like the black color of that. I like, and that's like a youth. Like I would fight a child for that shirt. But I just, to me, I trust Under Armour and kind of the creative process there. But this feels better of what it was. But yeah, still some of these choices like I do like that. Like I ran the marathon.
I mean, it's cool, I guess, but that's too much. And I maybe it's just because I'm cheap. I don't like t-shirts that have the dates on it. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Well, it just says 2024, which is kind of odd too. Like, if it was I don't know, I guess if it was the kickoff date, but they have the limited, they have those limited release scheduled t-shirts as well. So
how'd that go?
Well, not very well. I think this is really nice. I mean, some of this use stuff. I like the new kind of how we're doing these new, like the hoodie, kind of the neck. I like the modern take of these. The Kraken has a lot of cool stuff with this as well, where they have kind of a new modern take on the hoodie neckline, which I think is,
I have I have a Seahawks one like that, and it's super comfortable, and I like the look of it. It's not just like a hoodie where it's like bunched up behind you.
You have Seahawks merch.
I do. In fact, there's two Seahawks cups down there.
Why do you have Seahawks merch?
Because I've been a Seahawks fan since the Steve Largent days.
Probably
have we not had this discussion?
Probably not. That's funny though. This is nice. See, like this one. All right, so you have the Michigan Panthers, but then do they have the little M one as well? They must. Yeah. See, then they have the little, but that's the women's. Yeah, I don't see I see a Panthers football. I see that. I don't see the little M.
I will say that
that's the only sweatshirt they have for the men. Like, why do they get that one?
Yeah, that's odd. And that's not a youth. Yeah, that's like that looks like an adult. I will say that the blue t-shirt though, that's sharp.
Yeah. See, like Brahmas, I like the shirt, the olive, but see here you got the white with the little tiny bee. And then you have the women's side. So just the Michigan one. If you're Michigan, you get that big. Brahmas has that, but that's the youth. So you got to go through here. I love the Battlehawks, this alt logo, the Battlehawks.
I do like that. And I'm very sad that the long sleeve t-shirt is white because I can't have white t-shirt. I can't have because it would end up with I'm too much of a sloppy eater.
Yeah,
It wouldn't,
yeah,
it doesn't
yeah,
work out. I'm pretty
yeah.
sad.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about the merch here? We'll get into broadcasters, at least the ESPN side of it.
Yeah, no, I think, I think the Under Armour is a huge boost to that shop. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. There's some stuff, and it's funny. There's stuff that's on the Breaking Tees website that is not. You probably hear my cat meowing. She's had enough of this, of us talking about t-shirts and football. It is a huge boost, and it's interesting that there are UFL shirts that are on the Breaking Tees site that are still not on the UFL shop. I just thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, you kind of get that moving back and forth on here. I don't know. It's always it's never really consistent that way. I do think it's again, I don't know if that's an Under Armour thing or if that's a UFL thing. I mean, sometimes you're dealing with that with suppliers, but you would think that like we have this, the same 8 SKUs or whatever across all 8 teams.
Right.
In terms of, I have the Sports Illustrated article here. I don't know. They sent out the nice graphic and all of that, but so Mike Mitchell had reported here this week that they were going to unveil the broadcasters, doing the analysts and the color commentators and all of that. So we got the ESPN ABC side, still waiting on the Fox side, which you can presume some of those names, the ones that were involved in the the USFL ride, I would imagine the Kevin Kuglers of the world and Joe Klatz and Kurt Menefees and all of that stuff. But we got the ESPN side. Weird with the United Football League that all of this would not come out together.
It is. I do want. Did I not see something recently that it was that at least Fox had talked about the A team was still going to be. It was going to be Kurt Menefee and Joel Klatt. It seems like I saw that, but not the rest of the broadcasters for Fox.
Yeah, I imagine that. Like I said, Kevin's always a part of that stuff, and he's been great, and he'll come on the show, and he's been part of this since the Spring League days and talking for all that stuff. So I certainly appreciate that.
Is one of my absolute favorite play-by-play guys.
Well, it's so funny, and because he ends up calling a lot of like Seahawk games or a lot of the games that I watch. And I love and then like texting him and being like, "Fly safe home," and he's like, "Oh, don't worry," But I just love having like just that, and like he's so cool that way. Just that little 2 seconds of interaction of like, "Hey man, like hope you had a fun time in Seattle." Like, "Oh yeah, it was great." Like,
yeah, he would respond on Twitter. He was great. Now I know I have Sunday ticket and I watch Seahawks games, and I was like, "Oh, good, Kugler's doing the game. It's cool."
So here some of the ones here, and they're getting some new in here. We got the Sam Achos. He was on here before. Excited to see Tom Luganbill come back. Eric McLean, Cole Kublek, Stormy, kind of all friends of the show at that. I like at least where it was before. It's easier getting ESPN people onto the, for the Zachs of the world, that like the pre-recorded interviews. It's easier to get ESPN people on.
Yes.
Fox people, like Kevin, used to be able to do whatever he wanted to do, and then like when it was last USFL season, he's like, you got to go through Fox comms. Like, sorry, like I'll do whatever. ESPN people, like I could just send Stormy a message, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I can come on whatever at that time." So I do like that, at least from a read. And obviously, these are all talented people, right? And like, I think ESPN does a good job of having like kind of male, female, diverse voices and different kind of all that kind of stuff. But I like it at least from an access point of view, because I like having people mid-season, like, okay, you're doing the coaching calls, and not that like you do get to the point sometimes where like I think Pat or like Andy or Evan could probably speak as good on the game, but it gives you that bump to have an ESPN person kind of on there. Any thoughts on kind of the broadcasters, kind of familiar faces?
Yeah, I was disappointed that Tom Hart wasn't part of the play-by-play crew, because he got it. I mean, I just remember when they were the whole lemons thing started to happen in DC, and he was talking about the beer snake, and he was laughing at the whole thing, but he was laughing as a fan. He wasn't laughing at, look at these idiots doing this. It was like, and I think he even said in one of the broadcasts, let them have the beer snake, come on. And he just got it. He's such a good play-by-play guy. I'm a big college basketball fan and watch a lot of college basketball, and he does a lot of SEC games. So it's really, I was sad to see that. And just, personally, selfishly, I was sad to see that Katie George was not going to be part of the ESPN broadcast, because Katie and I used to co-anchor sports together here in Louisville. And in fact, I was just talking to her recently about, when this came out and I saw it, and I had talked to her, and I was like, oh man, I'm sad to see you're not part of it. But she has so much on her plate now. She does NBA games. She's on the A crew of the college football. So for ESPN. So yeah, it was just, I think there was just so much going on. that takes nothing away from what we've got here. I was very happy to see Stormy back and Cole and a lot of those guys. Now, I think Drew Carter is part of this. I think I have socks that are older than Drew Carter. I take nothing away from him because good for him. This guy has like rocketed from Birmingham, Alabama into being a play-by-play guy. So I think that's really cool. But you're right. There are a lot of good voices, a lot of diverse voices. I think it's, and ESPN to me, it felt like that they did in 2020. I thought they did a good job with the XFL, but it felt like Fox did the much better job as far as the broadcast went. It's like really putting like it opens together. ESPN would just sometimes kind of like, hey, welcome to Houston. Here we go, kickoff. But Fox had a lot of extra things. I think ESPN to me and Fox did a lot more of that with the XFL and USFL last year. So I think this is really cool. I have like no complaints. I hate that Tom Hart and Katie George aren't part of the crew.
Well, and this just reminds me of also Vicente. It's not Vicente here.
Yeah.
Greg McElroy. I
Yeah.
wasn't always the biggest fan of him, but also pointed out. No, Matt Berry, a friend of the show. Matt Berry was on the
I was
lot.
disappointed with Matt.
Now I'm just realizing this because I'm kind of doing the math, and obviously I tweet this. I've been dealing with my dental stuff all week, but Matt Berry. I liked Matt because I thought, and this goes back to my point, but I liked Matt because Matt really got all of this stuff. And I will say, and just to shout out my wife here watching, I think from school here, Dorothy, giving us $1.99 here,
Nice.
giving us a super chat. So you can do that, not even married to me. I will say this, the people that, at least from my experience, the people that ESPN, this side has doing it, they buy in. Like, I think that at least to me, there's kind of a thing of like, hey, we want you to be involved in this, like, and you need to buy in to do this, right? Every single person I talked to, from Stormy and Eric and Cole, like, they all got the process, wanted to be involved in it. We're excited about that. From my experience, at least listening to the games, because again, Fox wasn't as, hey, come interview all these people. Like, I tried to kind of work around and get the Kevins of the world, but like, it felt to me a little bit more like, you have to do this. Like, this is a part of your contract. Or like, hey, why don't you go practice on these games, like the Michael Robinsons of the world, and kind of doing that, and then we'll figure out what else you can do afterward. Where it felt like there was more buy-in, and maybe that's just me. And obviously Brock Heward is a standout from that, and I do not think that Brock will be a part of this, but Brock, I don't think so, because he was only partially involved in the one last year. We'll see. I mean, I could send him a message and see what's going on. That's another one. Excuse me, I knocked my desk. Like, I can text Brock and be like, I'm really upset about the Mariners today, and he'll be like, I understand, brother. Like, so, I like that. Cool. Like, I just like how, I don't get a lot of big connections, but I like that. But I don't see Brock being involved, but he got it. But to me, am I wrong in that? It felt like it was a little bit more like, this is part of your contractual obligations.
Yes, agreed. I mean, they continue to make Kurt Menefee the number one play-by-play guy, and I just, it just feels like sometimes he's not super prepared, but he's the number one guy because he's been at Fox forever. There are super cuts of him blowing calls in the XFL. I mean, it's and the USFL. And so, I mean, nothing. I mean, I get it, but that's just it. Sometimes for these broadcasters, you've talked to a few, I've talked to a few. It's just something else that's on their plate, like you said. But there are other guys like Matt and like you said, like with Brock. Yeah, I felt like they really got it. Kevin Kugler, 100% gets it. And Brock is really good. He was doing Seahawks preseason games too, as well. And I really enjoyed listening to him on all these things. But yeah, you're right. It feels like some of the ESPN people, and I mean, I'm not talking out of school here, because I talked to Katie George, on my channel, but also talking back and forth, and she really enjoyed it. And there was never a push, I don't think, to her to say like, you have to do this. This was like, we want to put you on this and have you do it. And she said it was a great time. It's a lot of work. I mean, this, if you've not worked in television, both of us have worked in television, it's not all glamorous all the time. It's a lot of work. And then when you have things that are piled on top of you on that, then, you have to understand that it's like, you can embrace it and have fun, but it's also a lot of work.
Well, and there's two. So I remind me my comment on Kevin Kugler being prepared. But yes, I will agree. The other, even if you try to do a good job, you might be someone like Matt Berry that's anchored, hour of TV every day and doing this and doing these games. And then, as much as you want to be prepared, you have a, an or a USFL fan, or this would have been an XFL fan that like, I know every second of everything, and you say something wrong, and you're like,
Right.
and like they don't understand. Like, yes, but to the other point, like Kevin Kugler would say back when he was on the spring league stuff, you're calling Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, like everybody knows the storylines with that. Whereas if
Right.
you're calling the spring league and you're calling, AJ McCarron or someone, like you got to, even if people know, hey, and they're reminding people, or hey, this was this unsigned guy from this school and is coming in, and he was, left out of this and played overseas and was in that, like you got to kind of know all that background. And it is a lot. It's a tremendous more work than just the X's and O's of kind of knowing the player stories of all this stuff.
Sure. And I think that's what a lot of a lot of the good play-by-play guys and gals do. They tell the story, and these spring leagues are full of stories, and that's honestly why I kind of got involved with doing YouTube and doing some of these things, because the stories are so good. I mean, you're going to get good stories on every level, but some of these guys who are trying to make their path up, or other guys who have come down trying to make their path back up, or just some playing for the love of the game. It's just, there are a lot of cool stories, and there are good broadcasts that tell those stories. It's not all about X's and O's.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say Jimmy's and Joe's because everybody says that.
But it's good. So we're curious with the Fox. They're saying here, Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson back, call for the UFL. Is that what you want, or is that what's going to happen? Like I said,
I can't imagine Kevin Burkhardt being, and then Greg Olson. I mean, that was the A crew on Fox. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. Greg Olson, I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, that which was, that's a whole thing to itself. That's a whole podcast. I can't imagine that that's going to be the case, especially if Kurt Menefee has already been announced as the guy.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I love Tom Brady and all that, but like whatever $4 million Greg Olson's getting paid a year, is it worth 30 to get Tom Brady? Like, are you increasing viewership by 5%? I mean, there's smart people doing the math, but
right. And I'd like to see I want to see the streaming numbers on Apple on this Dynasty documentary series on the Patriots, which is incredible because it's based on an incredible book. It's like, but it's got a lot of Tom Brady in it. Is that what's drawing people, or is it the story? So yeah, I don't, but $30 million or whatever it is with Fox, as we've said before, like $60 million loss for the XFL and Redbird Capital, that's a big deal. A $60 million loss for Fox is a rounding error. So it didn't make that much difference.
Are you surprised, and just kind of piggyback on all of this, Mike was on Mark's channel last night, kind of coming back, and just a couple other talking points here before we get out. I think we've kind of touched at least everything I wanted to. If you have any other comments, no United by Football this time, no Player 54, no anything outside of last time we had the ESPN, kind of the what was it? It was the online streaming pregame and all that stuff.
Right.
Like nothing really outside of obviously better broadcast windows. And we've done the whole schedule breakdown and all of that if people are interested in that. But are curious that there's no, with all of this broadcasting power, that nothing outside the norm?
That was really shocking. And I think when I was on with you and Max, I talked about, like, I really missed United by Football. Those were so good. And then the Player 54, which really got into a lot of the player stories, that was based more around, like, for those who haven't seen it, United by Football was more of almost like a reality show that was entertaining. And I don't like reality shows, but Player 54 was kind of that way, but it was more based, like it was in training camp. And I thought that was just, again, we talk about missed opportunities, but man, those stories connect with so many people. And it was a great pregame lead in for the USFL. And I think they played it. It was on, I know it was on ESPN Plus. You could watch the Player 54 stuff. Yeah, you've got Fox and ESPN behind this. Why would you not do some kind of, maybe they're going to announce it later. I don't know. It just seems like that'd be a really cool thing to do leading up to some of these games, even if it's just a pregame.
And even if it, what was it? Because the one was just online, right? It was like on the ESPN YouTube channel with Scooby McGeeza and kind of all that. Because Scooby was on the show as well. I mean, those guys got it as well. I think anyone.
Oh yeah.
I did not, and I had a lot of the ESPN people on. Just going back to the broadcaster thing, I didn't have anyone on where I felt like wasn't fully invested in all this stuff. Even people as busy as you. Like, I mean, I think that's cool because I'm like, I always feel like I'm the nerd. Like, hey, can you come on and talk about whatever? And then like when they get it, you feel like, okay, I'm not a.
You can tell. I'm sorry, Reed. You can tell that when they're on your show when you're talking to them. It's like they're enjoying talking about the league and talking about the stories and those things. It's not just like, oh yeah, thanks for having me and whatever. It's like they are having a good time with it.
It was like I had on and they dropped off, but some guy was doing I think it was like an XFL Seattle podcast or whatever, and he was coming on like all he wanted to do was talk about like Johnny Manziel, and I'm like, okay, you're not like, and this was like last
No.
year, right? I'm like, you're not getting kind of where this is going. Speaking of the Player 54, I know we touched on this at the top. I want to make sure we circle back. Rock on Daytona, but like Danny Garcia seems gone from this world.
I don't know what was going on because she was the face there for quite a while, along with The Rock, and now it seems like I've seen her like post some other things about different businesses, but it's never been. There's been a little bit of the UFL stuff, but it's funny you talk about Daytona. After that appearance, I don't know how many people like texted me like, oh, they were talking about the UFL on the Daytona 500 pregame. So that connects with people who don't even like, what's the UFL? Like, is that happening this year? But yeah, I was kind of surprised with Danny Garcia. Just kind of haven't seen a whole lot of her, and maybe it's been all Rock. And I do like that Daryl Johnson. You see him at all these, at all the socials they call it, whatever those, the little community get-togethers. But I think that's cool. But yeah, it seems like The Rock has been like, this is the A tier. I'm going to be on the broadcast. Daryl Johnson is going to be kind of the grassroots local. And then I don't know. Yeah, good question. What happened with Danny?
Just looked here on the YouTube channel. We have 160 people right now. We are one away from 3,300 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed on the channel, if you wanted to be a part of that, maybe we could. Okay, I got stuff I could send out, but maybe we could do that. And you could say, hey, send me a DM. Hey, Reed, that was your 3,300 subscriber. But that would be cool. It'd be cool to hit that by the end. I appreciate that. Yep. If we ever get to 3,500, I will give away tickets to something. So we were going to do that. And then, I would say the I would say neither the XFL nor the USFL season last year hit the mainstream audiences, I think, clearly from the merging of everything now. So we never really hit that, but we love to hit that, get 3,300 here. But yeah, let's get to 35, do a ticket giveaway, all that stuff. To me, Danny and The Rock have, Max has a comment here we'll get to. Danny and The Rock, like, it seems like they've transitioned their names to like founders. We talk, Danny's not on the football anymore. Like, I don't know. To me, it just feels like we're getting rid of that. The Player 54 really felt like it was a marketing, like this is a biopic about, Danny Garcia and The Rock buying the football league versus, I mean, it was a good show. I watched, but like The Rock going back to Hawaii and like crying in front of his apartment.
That was really good. That was good
television. It was great, but that wasn't about the XFL. That was about The Rock.
Right. Yeah. And he's one of the biggest stars in the world. So why not cash in on it? I'd like to see them do something that is in addition to, now they did have, as you mentioned on ESPN, there was, I think it was streaming. They had the XFL pregame, and I watched some of it. I thought it was good. I was obviously not the target audience. They did a lot of stuff, and I was just like, I don't know about that. But hopefully there will be a lot more of this, and it won't just be like, oh, top of the hour, here's kickoff, on any of the channels.
Well, here we go. I can proudly say, well, unless anyone decides to go away, we have crossed 3,300 subscribers. Right. There you go.
Whoever I was part of history. I feel honored.
John was part of our first $10 super chat. You were part of it crossing 3,300 subscribers. So John's been a part of a lot of stuff here. So I appreciate that. But yeah, stay subscribing here. Lots of work. We'll have more UFL stuff coming out. Obviously, I got teased at the top of the show. Big interviews next week. Already have one fan favorite, played in the XFL, played in the USFL, and that was back. So see if you can guess who that is. Sweetheart of a gentleman, and then a couple of really big name interviews. One returning big name I'm working on, and then it would be a person as well. So big time on there, but that would be exciting. So I appreciate that. Max has a comment here. Speaking of The Rock, no Project Rock merch for sale, despite players wearing the merch. About Puck in the weight room. Yeah, You see, even the interview I did yesterday, this gentleman had a really nice sweatshirt on. Like, I would love to see that go for sale here. Like, they're obviously manufacturing that, but I also heard like rumblings from, let's say XFL last year from some of the team people. Like sometimes it was a little bit of like, oh, I'm taking that merch, or I'm taking, like, sometimes there wasn't necessarily enough merch to go around, if that makes sense. Like, hey, I need to collect enough things so I have enough like Under Armour things to wear. Right. I don't know if it's as abundant as people think from looking at the socials. Thoughts on any of that?
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, again, you talk about, it seems like merchandising could be huge for this league, especially from, idiots like us who will buy almost anything. But if you have some cool Under Armour stuff, which I think is that could be good for the other fans, they'll say like, that's a really cool sweatshirt. That's a cool logo. I think, yeah, it's too bad because the UFL shop, I'll say it myself, the rollout was very poor. And I don't think that's a secret to a lot of people who tried to spend money on there. It's been almost a month since I ordered a shirt from there. I went on there and it said order unfulfilled. And as I told you, I am also unfulfilled because I like to have my UFL shirt. It just, I would almost rather that they had, and we talked about it before. We won't go keep killing them on the shop thing, but I almost wish they had already had full stock before they opened the shop back up.
Yes, I agree with that. But it's, it's also like it's true. Like we got to put this online. I mean, we can't. You got to have the shop open. But I remember the sadness of last time. I think it was the USFL started it, and then the XFL continued of not having the jerseys ready by opening day. That was
Right.
and I remember this is what like I was in because I wasn't doing the podcast for the XFL 2020. I was a fan, and I was in Vegas working, and I was filming this event at the Ferris wheel. And I was literally in the Ferris wheel refreshing the page because they were announcing all the jerseys that night. And I remember getting to the airport the next day and walking back and forth and listening to Mark Perry do a breakdown. I think was what was his name? Connor Folk, I think, was on there too, but they had done the live. But like that's how invested I was in all of this and to make sure I could order it. And I was on trying to make sure I could order it, and then get it ready to go. And it came like Christmas Eve day or something before the kickoff. But it was such a part of being a fan of this. And I just think that like they just view that as one more thing, but there's so many of these things that are like a paramount part of building these fan bases and getting people involved in like, because then what am I going to do? I'm going to order something from China. I'm going to make my own. When we did the kickoff last year for the Renegades, there was tons of, DIY kind of stuff. And at that point, like, I'm not going to go back and invest $160 in the jersey halfway through the season. That's not even going to ship till the end of the season.
Well, and that's the thing. We're going to kick off as we tape this in 22 days. Is that right? Am I doing the math right? So it's like, are you going to, I've been waiting almost a month for a shirt. So if I'm going to go to, one of the games on, that weekend, am I going to have my gear or not? So and I know they're going to sell some stuff locally. So if you're in those markets, I guess you'll see those on the shelves somewhere. But yeah, it's the rollout was pretty weak. I will say, because my wife was like, we're going to go to a Battlehawks game here in April. And she was like, well, I hope that they'll eventually put some women's stuff on so she can buy a shirt to go. They finally have it up there. I don't know when it came on, but that is online now, as we just saw.
Yeah, lots of women's stuff. I just, and again, this is different going through the different, when Paul and I had our dropship account, but I remember like, you could just go on. And I remember asking Dorothy, like, hey, Paul's going to make a tank top. Like, what kind of, she's like, I want a racerback top. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, okay, like we can go make that and put a logo on and kind of all that stuff. 175 people on here right now, plus whatever on Twitter. Appreciate everyone checking that out. John, anything else you want to make sure we touch on here? I'm going to post the episode when we get off. Obviously, it'll be back on the Sports Illustrated website. Appreciate that. And I think that that's helping us gain some of these subscribers as well. But yeah, having passed the 3,300 today, which is exciting.
That's very cool. No, I think we covered it all. I always, I could go another hour with you. As we know, we could, go back and forth talking about the UFL. And I know there are people that say, yeah, you guys are really nitpicky, and we were, but we do it again. As I said to you before, we do it because we care and we want this to succeed. And I'm just, I'm cautiously optimistic as we are about 3 weeks away from kickoff. So it's always fun to talk about, the UFL and kind of pick on things that we wish were a little better or a lot better.
Well, and I get that, right? So I get 100% that, but I also don't think that there is any gain of being an unabashed cheerleader for anything, right?
Right.
And we've had long conversations this week with a lot of with the Mike Mitchells of the world and Pat and Evans, kind of everyone else, because I do err on more of the negatory side of things, right? Like even talking, and I have my Kraken, right? Haven't had the best season, and we're trying to make a push. And even like my season ticket holder friends are like, Reed, like we need, you got to be optimistic here about it. And I'm like, I try just things that have been through in my life, and not that I've had the most challenging life, but there's been things that have kind of caused me to be, I'm a little bit more of like the realist, pessimistic sort of things. But the reason I do it is because I do want things to be successful. And so it is hard when I get like YouTube comments of like you like, why do you even care? Like it's like, no, we do this because I do care, because not caring is just packing up the shop and not doing it anymore, right? That is,
Right.
turning off and not doing the podcast. And it's the same with doing these live shows and stuff right now. It's a way to kind of continue doing this by keeping myself sane, because I don't think that, the 2.5 hour pre-recorded, even though I do think we'll have a good episode next week. But yeah, that's why I do that. So it's hard when I understand people feeling that way, but like this is why I'm doing it, is because we want this to succeed, because I've lived through and you've lived through, like you and Mike and all, like we've lived through all of these different things. And it's
Yeah.
because we've seen so much of it that we want this to
It
work out.
was, I mean, it's not been that long ago where there was the big news conference with Charlie Ebersol and the whole thing with the Alliance of American Football. And I'm sitting there watching it. And I was so excited. I mean, I'm watching the unveiling of this and the, announcement of this. And I'm like, man, we're finally going to get a spring football that's going to, they've got it all together. And then you're disappointed again and again and again. So we just don't want to be disappointed. Like, you said you could just pack it up, because the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy. And if you're just apathetic about it, you're like, you don't care. We care. That's what we just want, things to be good because we care about the product.
And just my last thing on this, because when we're still peaking viewership here, so I appreciate that, because I don't want anyone to be like, this idiot needs to stop talking. But we just saw this week that like Fan Control Football, they're bringing back their, like, I think they're trying to launch again, but they're bringing back their weekly. They do like a weekly YouTube show, and they were going to have some big announcements. And I'm like, I remember when the season 1 of that came out, and Paul and I sat here and said, like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And they got mad at us, right? And then they would like, they'd come on the show and like, well, you guys, I'm like, you're just hating, because like you're just hate. It's like, no, like I'm watching 8 hours of your Twitch streams every Saturday. Like, I'm not hating them.
Right.
Like, I'm watching this, like, the people that say like, spring football is stupid because these players suck, or the same people like the CFL, like that's not real athletes. Like, those are the people you need to get mad at, not the people. I mean, Pat and I recapped every single UFL game the entire season. Like I said, Paul and I watched all those stupid Fan Control Football. Like, I am not the enemy here. The person that's watching and giving you constructive criticism of things that are easy to change, and then seeing your league go away because you didn't do that. Like, basically being like, this is why this is going to work, and then it didn't work, and like then them trying to do NFTs and being like, that's never going to work. And then it didn't work again, and it went away. Like, but I'm the idiot. Like, oh, you're the smarter. Like, their CEO would be like yelling at me on Twitter, like, you're just an idiot. I'm like, okay, like I'm here.
Yeah.
You're not.
I mean,
I don't want anyone to fail anything.
You hit right. It's constructive criticism because you are the target audience. This is what you want to see, and you think that this would be good, and it's not out of the realm of, oh, I want to see, Patrick Mahomes playing in Fan Control Football. No, that's not what you're saying. Just like you want to try to get this off the ground because you care. People who call other people haters, it's like, that is like the laziest thing, because if it really is constructive criticism of something that you hope to succeed, it's not hating. It's like, I'm trying to just say, like, it's like watching someone that that a friend or something that's being self-destructive. It's like, you've got to stop this, and here's why you have to stop this. I can see it.
Well, and I will just say that when I get feedback on my feedback, at least it feels like my feedback is heard, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard from, the league about things, and like, that at least speaks that they value my opinion in that way, right? And they don't view me. So I don't care if anyone, but I mean, at least they don't hopefully view me as some big negative Nancy, like, at least, because that is my goal. I have been through a lot of this. So anyway.
Well, we all have, and you're right. I mean, we could get on here and be fanboys, but like, they might like to hear that. I don't think the people that are watching right now want to hear you rah rah, or hear either of us just rah rah and everything's great.
But anyway, to recap, I am excited, big time
Yes.
next week. So everything else, but I got to go. I mean, I think this is the last go around we have. So I mean, I'm full speed ahead. Going to be retweeting everything, going to be sharing everything, all the stuff, everything. There's a lot of good being done right now. There's things that could be done, but it is fun to go on to kind of nitpick this stuff. But lots of player interviews next week. Appreciate that. Lots of training camp coverage, and then we'll be live, March 30th here, and hopefully John and I think Greg Parks and anyone else. And Andy's talking about trying to go. I have a great spot set up. We'll have a cool background and everything. So anyone that's in town, at least talent wise, can come hang out, and then we'll be at the game. And then obviously obviously anyone that wants to call in. John, plug your channel. You said you have uniform rankings coming out, which will be exciting. And John, because John does like the good bite size, because I like you come on here, we just ramble for an hour and a half, but then you do like, this is my targeted 7-minute thing, which is good.
It's John Lewis Sports. That's all you have to look up on YouTube. And I appreciate you letting me get the plug in. I just do. And it is, I'm going to have some uniform rankings. I'm going to tell the whole, and this is a story for another day, but I do have, want to kind of get into the background of Matt Corral, because I think he's a really good story for the Birmingham Stallions. So hopefully we'll have a video on that out soon. And I'm sorry about the grade that I'm going to give your San Antonio Brahmas uniforms, but that's the plan. That should come out this weekend. John Lewis Sports.
And John, we already dropped down from 300 subscribers. So our rant got us away. We lost it. So
that's my fault.
So close.
That's on
we had hit 3,300 subscribers. We made someone mad. If you want to support the show, like and subscribe. 195 people watching us here, 320 on a Pacific here. I'm going to go rest my gums. Kraken play tonight. Let's hope for that. And John, appreciate your time, and everyone watching and hanging out. So it's been fun.
It has been fun. Anytime, Anna. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we tried Wednesday, we tried Thursday, and then finally here end of the week. So
the Friday news dump. We got it.
We got it. All right. We'll see you guys next time.